Hey guys, today we're going to come and talk about Palestine and Israel, and I'm going to take you back to the beginning of the conflict, okay, that they're still fighting over today. So at the end of World War One, you had Britain come in and establish mandates. Mandates are a lot like colonies. And they mandated Iraq and Palestine, and you can see here there is no Israel, okay? France came in and mandated Syria and Lebanon. And during World War One, Great Britain wanted to dismantle the Ottoman Empire, and they asked their colonies for help. So the Indian military, the Australian military all came to help. But they also wanted the help of the Arabian world. And because Ottoman Empire controlled them as well. And they said, okay, we'll help, but what do we get from it? Well, at that point, then there was a series of letters that were written called the McMahon Hussein correspondence letters. And in it, it said that if the Arabs would help, they would get some land within the Ottoman Empire. Okay, here's the first part of the conflict, is the Arabs thought and interpreted that letter to mean, oh, you're going to give us Palestine. Of course we will help you fight against the Ottoman Empire and dismantle them. Interpretation, okay? Then part of the other issue is there was a letter written to the Jewish people from the Foreign Secretary of Great Britain, okay? And his name was Arthur James Balfour. And within that letter, as I read it, I want you to pick out what Britain specifically offered to the Jewish people, okay? So, dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the cabinet. So this has already been approved. His Majesty's government view with favor the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the achievement of this object. It being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine, or the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. I should be grateful if you would bring this declaration to the knowledge of the Zionist Federation. This is in 1917. What did Great Britain specifically just promise the Jews? Palestine. That is the whole conflict. It's the McMahon Hussein correspondence where Hussein felt like he was offered Palestine, but then you have another declaration that clearly says, you get Palestine. And that's the beginning of the whole conflict right there that they're still fighting over today. Crazy, huh? Whew, that was a lot of information. So if we look at that, in that time period, the makeup of Palestine, it was actually 80% Muslim. And Great Britain just said, hey, this is Jewish land. We're giving it to them. And so at this point, if you were part of the Zionist movement, you were in favor of moving there because you felt like it was your ancient land, okay? And so the Jews just started moving into Palestine. And of course, with World War II going to go on, we're going to insert World War II here. So all these people are moving in, okay? And so then in 1947, the UN steps in. Of course, the UN is the United Nations. And they make this resolution that says, okay, we're going to have both of you living there. Okay, and this is how we're going to break up the land. And if you know anything about Israel geography, this is all desert down here. Okay, this is not the best place to be living. It's the Negev desert is what it's called. So Jews, of course, were like, well, yeah, we'll take that. And the Arabs were like, yeah, we're not We're not super fond of that, and we are not in favor of this resolution. It is our land given to us by the McMahon Hussein letters. And Jews are like, yeah, no, that's not going to work either. Okay. So we've got a lot of conflict. And then through the years, you can see what is happening to Palestine. It is clearly decreasing in size. Okay. Today, it looks more like this, probably even less Palestinian settlements. This area right here is called the Gaza Strip. It's crazy. All right, there's a lot of information here, but hey, this is good stuff. Hang on 1 second, guys. I've got a phone call. I'll pause it. All right, guys, I'm going to pick back up here. So we talked about how Palestine was shrinking in this image right here, and that Palestine was just never happy with the divisions, okay? So Britain decides that they're out. There's just too much tension within this region. They're out. And Israel announces on May 14th, 1948, we are a state. And Truman being the United States president at that time, immediately recognized the new nation. So then my thought was, and this is where I miss you guys, because you guys would always be asking me questions that would make me dig deeper than what our history book would give us. So I tried to dig a little deeper, and I thought somebody out there was going to yell out, well, why didn't Palestine become a state? Great question. One that a lot of websites are not giving a clear answer to. The only thing that I could really find is that as soon as Israel announced they were going to become a state, Palestine immediately went in and started to invade. And so you had these wars that broke out between the Jews and the Arabs. And the Arabs immediately go in and invade Israel, and the invasion was a failure. And so that's what a lot of websites are saying, is because they started this war and ended up losing. And so the Arabs then fled out, just got out of Israel and went to these refugee camps and went to neighboring countries. And then the Jews were leaving the Arab countries and coming into Israel. Okay. So very complicated. However, I love to hear the story of how this conflict started. Okay. We know there's a lot of conflict today. There's always the one state or two state debate that is still up for discussion. Should there just be Israel? Should there be an Israel and a Palestine? And whatever US president there is, there's always a different opinion. US presidents throughout time have either supported Israel 100% or not so much. Okay. Trump definitely is a supporter of Israel. Israel is a powerful force, but with not too many allies. But hey, I wanted to make sure that we knew how the conflict began. All right, my super peeps, that is it for today.